In the year 2012, right before the end of the world, Ubisoft released a game called Far Cry 3. Upon release, the game received critical acclaim, sold lots of copies, and was nominated for multiple Game of the Year accolades. It has also been cited as one of the greatest games ever made. However, in this video, I am not going to talk about it. Rather, I want to talk about its clones, or if I want to say it more positively, inspirations. In short, I want to show you how all open world games are Ubisoft actually. Before I start talking about other games, I want to talk about a company who took the biggest inspiration of them all, Ubisoft. Surprising, but not surprising. After the smashing success that was Far Cry 3, they tried to incorporate its formula in all their games. When I said all, I meant all their games, be it Assassin's Creed, Ghost Recon, or Watch Dogs. All of these are very different on the surface, but at the core, they are all Far Cry 3. The map is smothered with points of interest or POIs to an absolute brim. All these POIs have contents like enemy outposts, radio towers which opens up the map, and all kinds of hidden collectibles. The same kind of content can be found in their other games. And you know what? Despite some flops in their catalog, they have had some success using this formula. You can see that from 2012 to 2022, most of their games were considered commercially successful. With so much success, other developers and companies had to take a look at what they were doing. In the years following the release of Far Cry 3, multiple open world games were made and released. However, I want to talk about specifically two games. The first one is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Massively popular, sold lots of copies, and practically carried the success of the Switch. For the first time ever, Nintendo made the first Zelda game that is truly open world. It has lots of content for you to enjoy. It has lots of puzzles, enemy outposts to clear, towers which opens up the map, hidden collectibles, and wait a minute, did I say these things before? Because I feel like I did. The design of this game is strikingly similar to what I would call the Ubisoft formula, but with a twist this time. Unlike in Ubisoft games, where the map is filled to the brim with icons, there is nothing in its map. The game never tells you about its content. The developers encouraged exploration instead of spoon feeding the players. But regardless of the developers telling the players or not, it is an undeniable fact that Breath of the Wild is an Ubisoft clone. While I believe it has lots of cool and unique ideas, the quality of the game feels watered down due to how much of the open world feels Ubisoft and, in my opinion, dull and repetitive. Obviously, these all are optional content, but the fact remains that it's just an Ubisoft game, not made by Ubisoft. The most surprising thing that I've noticed is Ubisoft also took inspiration from Breath of the Wild and made Immortal Phoenix Rising. Hilarious, if I do say so myself. Anyway, the second game is Elden Ring, also from Software's first foray into the open world. Now, does this game share similarities with the Ubisoft games? Yes, it kinda does. The map does have lots of places to explore. You got lots of castles, caverns, dungeons, and camps which acts as your enemy outposts. The map function is really not that different from that of Ubisoft games. Also, it encourages exploration like Breath of the Wild. Having said all that, I really did not want to bash this game. It is an incredible game that can stand on its own, despite the fact that they took inspiration from both Breath of the Wild and Ubisoft. Having talked about all these games, I forgot to mention one last point. The map does not change despite the actions of the players. What you do in one POI does not affect the other POI. It's like whatever you do, you receive zero reaction and nothing happens. The world does not feel alive. Well, this is a problem, isn't it? How do we solve this? The answer is GTA, or to be more accurate, police chases. We can also take Need for Speed Most Wanted as an example. Cop chases does make the world feel alive. They react to everything you do. They make you traverse the map in an improvised manner. So, yeah, the actual answer to the problem, dynamic gameplay, which the aforementioned games lacked. Sure, Breath of the Wild has some interesting dynamic gameplay, but then I am talking about open world, not combat. So, you might ask, if these critically acclaimed games are very Ubisoft like and does not have dynamic gameplay, then what are the other options? I have two recommendations. The first game is Subnautica. The first thing that I want to say about this game regarding the main subject is the fact that it never gives you a map. Like, ever. You have to go out of your way to remember the important places. The second thing is the object placement being randomized in repeated playthroughs. All these things will give you a pure exploration experience with a little hint of survival horror. The second game is Mountain Blade Warband. Haven't played the latest one, only here to talk about this one. This game is the very definition of dynamic gameplay. The things you can do can have an effect on other parts of the map and potentially can change your relation with other people and leaders. While not a very exploratory game, the random encounters does keep the gameplay loop interesting. It is a game where your choice actually does matter and can give you a good dynamic gameplay. While this may come out as pet peeve to most people, I am someone who wishes to experience new things in games. With this video, I have shown you that a lot of open world games do share similarities with Ubisoft. But looking at some of the successful games, I think we are stuck with Ubisoft formula for a lot longer than I would like.